If you're the kind of person who reads nutrition labels when you shop for groceries, like me, you may have noticed a change in recent weeks. Food labels are getting an overhaul thanks to new FDA requirements aimed at giving us more information about what exactly we're eating. But as Stephanie Leydon reports, that fine print has ignited a war over words within one of New England's most celebrated industries.
No, you've had some already.
The alpacas were his first project, but soon after John Gomersall moved here to Quizet Hill Farm in the town of Mendon, he had another idea.
I was eyeing the sugar maples out front there, and I was like, wow. I said, I want to try tapping them this year. I wound up with about a teaspoon of finished maple syrup.
That modest beginning has morphed into a sprawling maple syrup operation.
I probably have miles of this tubing going out throughout the woods, zigzagging through the maple trees.
The sap they collect ends up in the sugar house where Gomersall has invested heavily in equipment.
And this is an advanced preheating hood.
Last season, he produced enough maple syrup to supply a growing roster of restaurants and stores. At a time when there's an appetite for food without any additives, the appeal of his product is right on the label.
Someone looks at our syrup and they see 100% pure Massachusetts maple syrup.
The promise of pure is his biggest selling point, the heart of the maple sugar brand. And he says it's under threat because new FDA food labels like this one require the words added sugar.
They'd start reading this and they would see added sugar. And it was like, wait a minute, 100% pure, added sugar, that would be very confusing to them, I think. It would be for me.
And potentially bad for business?
If they were buying this off the shelf at our retail stores, they would probably just put it back on the shelf.
Advocates say amid a worsening obesity epidemic, the words added sugar will help people keep track of how much sugar they're consuming, whether it comes from a soda factory or a maple tree.
There's just nothing special about the added sugars in maple syrup and honey. They're no different than table sugar or high fructose corn syrup or any other sweeteners that are usually added to food. That's why they're called added sugars.
Bonnie Liebman with the Center for Science in the Public Interest says there's room on the label for maple syrup makers to make their case.
They can simply put on the front or the back of the label in large letters, 100% pure, or no ingredients other than maple syrup, or contains no added sweeteners.
But with his business at stake, John Gomersall says that's a compromise that would do little to keep the customers he's worked hard to cultivate.
That's still confusing to people because they see pure and added sugar on there. I don't know if they would know what to believe.
Stephanie Leydon joins me now. I expected you to bring maple syrup. What's the point?
Well, I thought you might be thirsty, Jim.
Well, not for that. What is the point of you bringing these things?
All right, so maple syrup's caught up in this whole debate over food labels and this question of added sugars. But what everyone agrees on is maple syrup is not the cause of obesity in this country. Bonnie Liebman, especially from the Center for Science and Public Interest, said it's these sugary drinks. You know, many of them have as much sugar as we should have in a day or more.
I am totally with her. And
you want one?
No, thank
nothing?
you. You know, I'm a big anti-obesity crusading. I was a fat kid, and I dealt with all this stuff, so it's personal with me. But I don't even get this thing. The issue is there is no added sugar. So I don't even understand the underlying issue.
They're trying to differentiate between sugar that occurs naturally in food, say in fruit or in milk, and the sugar that's added, say in yogurt or ice cream.
Right, and it's not added.
Which is what the maple sugar producers and the honey producers are arguing. But from the FDA's point of view, they're saying, well, this really has no real nutritional value, so therefore it's added sugar.
So say that. I mean,
right, it's a language issue for sure. Yeah.
But my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, new labels are already out. So is it too late, if I'm right about that, is it too late for there potentially to be an exemption for maple syrup or no?
So it's supposed to begin in 2020. All companies are supposed to start these new labels.
I thought there's some already.
But some have already begun. So we actually had a few of those already that are out there. But this has been a firestorm from the maple syrup producers. About 3,000 comments went to the FDA, and the FDA says they are now taking these comments under review, and they're hoping to come up with what they're calling a sensible solution. So it sounds like there's some wiggle room.
Seems to me if there isn't added sugar, it shouldn't say added sugar. I know that may sound insane. Stephanie, nice to see you. No, keep it for yourself. It's very nice. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.